This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Generally, the ball sacks is my name also.
Mate, you inspired me. It's the one time I'll say that.
no compliments, please.
I'm still going to choose zombies, even though that is a bit of a plot twist.
Aussie?
Been able to get rid of this erection for 7 weeks. I don't see it stopping now.
Yeah, that sounds like the Talor Talk After Dark podcast, but we're up for that later on.
NFL?
A broken clock is right twice a day, so we'll take it.
Okay, I've done some research and Tay will be impressed with this.
Fantasy.
Been a bag of panther dicks lately. I mean, that's worth that.
They're furry. Your number one pick at wide receiver, call it, son.
Yeah, got to scrub him off.
Oh, well, I'm fucking devastated.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
And I'm going to come right up between the arse cheeks.
Yeah, he's the godfather of cheeks.
G'day Aussie Gridiron fans and welcome to the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show, brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network. You can tell probably that I am definitely not Matty C. Once again, I'm back, baby. I am taking over the airwaves once again. This is Ian, and Matty is on hiatus. AWOL, actually, Tay. He's AWOL. And so, I don't know. It's going to be loose today because there is no script, pretty much. So let's bring in the greatest fantasy analyst in all of Australia. We call him that every single week. Talor Goodall, how are you, mate?
Boys, in life, it hurts to be kicked in the dick or the spleen. And you know what doesn't hurt? Week 14. Let's fucking go.
Holy fuck, these rhymes are just getting longer now. Just listen here, Shakespeare.
Shakespeare, Jameis.
I like to create a story.
Absolutely. The Church of Goodall. That's what we're going to right now. You can hear that voice in the background. And as I said, there is no script, so we will be off the rails 1 minute into the podcast. He's a guy who has been on previously. I know he's been on this year. I know because we listened to his 5 questions previously. They tell me that it is the 12-month anniversary of the first time that Isaac graced this great podcast. And it is, of course, Isaac Coonerty. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you. And happy 1 year to me. I'll blow out the candle.
Look. Don't blow on that. That wasn't the candle.
Mate, his intro didn't even have a rhyme. What's the point?
What's the point in living if there's no rhyme?
There'll be a rhyme about an hour in.
Better rhyme an hour. Jesus. I don't know.
Loose as a goose. There we go.
Loose as a goose. All right, as I said, Matty's not here. Matty is on a boat. Matty's on a boat.
Motherfucker, take a look at me.
Yeah. So Matty is currently on a boat somewhere in southern Australia. We know today he was off Port Arthur. Is that what he said? Somewhere random.
We all know I don't listen to Matty C.
I know. He was somewhere random and he had the slightest bit of reception. So, no Matty. It wasn't until Matty was on the boat that he realised he had absolutely no mobile reception. So, funny that when you leave the Australian waters, you don't get mobile reception from Australia. Anyway.
Boats and hose.
Yeah. So, God knows what Matty's doing right now. Probably sipping margaritas. I don't know. What's a worse drink? Not a margarita. That's too good for Matty. You got pina coladas. That's actually Matty time, isn't it, Tay?
Yeah, he weighs about 8 kilos soaking wet, so it'd take him about 1/4 of those to get drunk. So good on him.
I could see him. He'd be out there. Could you just envisage Matty sitting on the deck of a boat, Hawaiian shirt, sipping a pina colada, looking like all seedy, dirty?
We'll be seeing it on our graphics this week, I think.
Leisure Suit Larry. That's what I'm picturing. For any old guys.
Let's hope there isn't a solid gust of wind because it might carry him out.
I just threw
Carry him
out
all the way
a
to the
reference for
Antarctic.
everybody over 40, and you two fuckers are not. So it is what it is. Righto. So we're going to try and get through the Friday show right now, and welcome to the Friday show. Of course, as we usually do on Aussie NFL Fantasy, which is just becoming my show apparently. We've got the breakouts today for around the league, and we will be going through Talor Talk later on. So great talk. And you know what? It's been a pretty accurate talk, Talor. So let's just keep it to that. You've been pretty good at Talor Talk.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Talor Talk time.
Well, your head could technically talk to your body. It's separated.
Yeah, what am I, fucking Deadpool? It's just rolling around the ground talking to itself?
Oh, whoa. You're saying all this, but you're not giving Tank Dell any fucking respect.
Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying you need to sell Derrick Henry.
Sure, if they're the pipsqueaks, but then they get their powers and then I'm up shit creek.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
That's Tay earlier. It's like, oh, drink this guy.
Was that an impersonation?
Right. Well, I guess we'll just jump straight into breakouts and see how we go. How about I'll do a bit of a recap, Tay.
Sounds good, mate.
Last week you had, and some of this is woeful, by the way, when I went through and totaled this up. All three of us, you, me, and Adam, who was on with us, I don't think any of us hit on anything last week. So we've done well. There's a little bit of hits. Actually, I think there was one or two, but they missed just on some pretty bold calls that were thrown out there at the same time. So,
part of it, though.
Yeah, that is the part of it. Tay, you had Jalen Hurts. You said top QB and something else that I can't remember. I don't know whether you can remember.
I can't remember either. I did say that I kind of liked him in this matchup against the Ravens because I thought it would be one of those ones where they couldn't just hand off to Saquon the entire game, which weirdly was working for a little while, and then all of a sudden Saquon just broke off one massive play, and then all of a sudden, they were in front and they were able to just sort of hand off to Saquon, so I kind of threw that off a little bit. He only had to throw for like 140 yards, which was weird, so yeah, it just wasn't great. He had 2 touchdowns, he had a fine game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't what I was looking for.
Only 18 points on the week, 16th QB overall, thanks to some mammoth scores later in the weekend. He really got blown away score-wise by some other QBs out there. Can you believe, I think everybody can believe after watching the game, Jameis Winston, QB1 for the week.
How good.
And in our hearts as well.
Absolutely in our hearts.
Preach.
Isaac and I on the GDAY GRIDIRON reaction pod during the week on would be Wednesday morning would have come out and everyone would have heard it. Hopefully everyone heard it. Yeah, we were going to the Church of Jameis for sure. I'm all about it.
I was going to say 6 touchdowns, 4 to his own players and 2 to theirs.
Yeah, 6. Jameis Winston had 600 yards all up, over 600 yards in that game.
Count the intercepts.
497 to his own players, and then the rest were that's serious. 600 yards. It's not even a joke. It's just it's wow.
Protect him at all costs.
100%. And yeah, hopefully the Browns aren't smart enough to just sign him next season because that would be the most Browns thing ever. Let's just give Jameis a 3-year contract. Where are we? Oh, Tay, running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs and Joe Mixon combined for 200 yards and 4 TDs. Oh, not close. But it wasn't too bad for either. 87 yards for Gibbs, 101 yards for Mixon, 188 yards. You got close.
TDs were shit. Obviously, Gibbs was close to one and then he fumbled. And then obviously the Lions just kind of fell apart in the second half, but obviously held on. But it was a weird one for him. Just Monty was more involved than I kind of wanted with this call. I thought he was coming in with the injury and might have been more Gibbs. But
remember, it was later in the week, and I put out there that there was a report that Monty wasn't going to be playing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he was there on game day.
Yeah, and I still, even when I knew he was there, I just thought he might get slightly less touches just because he was coming in questionable. But in the end, they just kind of rode Monty again, and Gibbs only had 9 rush attempts, still had 80-odd yards, but you just need more attempts than that, and it just didn't work out. And no touchdowns for him. I think it was only 1 for Mixon. Just never really got off the ground.
It would have been a big fuck you to the Chicago Bears, I reckon, using Monty, an ex-player. They just would have just run it down his throat.
Revenge games.
Yeah,
because I love revenge games. Good old Sonic and Knuckles, eh? That's some of the best nicknames I've heard in the league yet. And everyone going, well, if there's Sonic and Knuckles, what do we call Goff? And I'm sitting there screaming at screens going, well, he's clearly fucking Tails. Have none of you seen Sonic? What have we... There was movies already. There's already been 2 movies you should know, if not just the games. Like, Jesus Christ, he's definitely Tails. Anyway, Again, I'm over 40. Wide receivers, you had Nico Collins and Brian Thomas if Trev was back. Well, you know what? Trev was back, even if he wasn't there for long, mate.
Yeah. So this counted. Nico Collins got the 100 yards.
He did.
He seems to do that pretty much every single week. Obviously didn't get the touchdown because CJ Stroud's been an absolute fucking turd. And Brian Thomas wasn't too bad either. He actually got a touchdown, but didn't get 100 yards. I think it was about 70 odd, and the touchdown was pretty late. I think he actually got it with Mac Jones.
Yeah.
But,
Brian Thomas was pretty good with Mac Jones. That was a pretty good connection. And how good does Mac Jones look? It was so weird.
It wasn't a bad, horrendous call. Like, as in, it was like I said, I didn't get this, but obviously the touchdown to him, Collins actually had a pretty good game. So, if you're going to rank shitty calls, this is probably one of the least shitty calls.
The next one's the shittiest call. Kate Otten, 16 plus PPR points. We all know you love a tight end. He got 2 points. 2.
What a wanker! Holy shit! Although. This again was the problem, and it was kind of the problem the week earlier against the Giants, where they just ran the ball so fucking well that they just didn't need to pass as much. And obviously, Mike Evans has taken a huge chunk out of whatever yardage Baker has. Kate Otten it's worrying. Like the first 2 weeks you've seen with Mike Evans back, Kate Otten's kind of just gone missing. So, is that prescriptive? I don't know. I still feel like there's better matchups against teams that maybe are less like run funnels than they've probably faced the last 2 weeks. But yeah, in general, they just ran the ball so well they didn't really need to pass a whole lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam and I both went for Baker Mayfield as QB. Baker had a Baker game, 235 yards and 1 TD. So we thought he was going to absolutely light him up last week with 300 yards plus, but that didn't happen.
It's all Bucky Irving.
It was all Bucky Irving, actually. It's all ground game. Ads had James Cook and he ended up with 107 yards and a TD. Captain looked pretty damn amazing. He was absolutely blitzing last week. It was just the holes that man was running through were just massive.
The poor 49ers.
Oh, captain, my captain.
Yeah. I was yelling that as he was running down the sideline too, Jay. Ads had Jaden Reed at wide receiver as his breakout. 23 rush yards. 24 receiving yards and 2 TDs receiving. So Jaden Reed actually, he didn't do a whole lot in terms of production, but he was there in the red zone to get those TDs, essentially.
Yeah, I was laughing in that group chat when he got the touchdown early and then got another one and he was just losing his mind. But what was his exact call? Because I swear he said something about, was it a yardage call or something? Because
it was, and I didn't write it down, unfortunately, last week.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was either, but he basically said he didn't get what he said, even though he got 2 touchdowns, but I think it had something to do with yardage. But in the end, we're not sort of scoring a lot of this shit anyway. The fact that he picked Jaden Reed and he had 2 touchdowns, I think you'd call it a win.
Yeah. The rushing yards were interesting to me, actually, that they used him on a couple of rushing plays.
That's what was frustrating me as an owner of him, is they were using him like that last year and early this year. Then they just completely went away from it. They were kind of using him in like a Debo role, whereas they've kind of gone away from it the last few weeks. Whereas this week, they finally actually kind of used him like that. So if they could use him like that moving forward, you'd actually feel a bit more confident starting. Yeah.
Agree. Absolutely agree. As had Jonnu Smith at tight end, of course, he had an 80-plus and a TD. That's what Ads called out. 113 yards once again for Jonnu Smith. No TD this week. But
suck shit.
Suck shit. But Jonnu Smith, man, wow. Where would they be without Jonnu Smith right now?
The wide receiver one on the Dolphins.
He is. Absolutely. And to round that out, the rest of mine, I had Aaron Jones for 20-plus PPR points. That was actually poo, 6.8. Mike Evans, 120-plus yards, I said. He got 118 and a TD. It's Mike Evans' time, baby. I did say it started last week.
Hilariously a loss, technically.
I know, it is hilariously a loss. But
what a week.
I did say the call was that it was going to be Mike Evans, get over that 100 mark because he's got to get there. He's now at 521 yards on the season.
Yeah, well, let's keep that counter going because you and I, we obviously took my advice and tried to get Mike Evans everywhere because I gave that out like 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
I had him in both our dynasty that I'm in Isaac and redraft. I made a trade with him at the deadline for Chuba Hubbard for Mike Evans.
Oh wow,
So
that's a trade.
I think it was Myers and Hubbard, but yeah, I was pretty happy with that because I just didn't like Hubbard's matchups coming up. It was Brooks sort of going to get sort of eased in a little bit, but yeah, I just felt like Mike Evans has the potential to be a league winner this year. I've been trying to say to everyone. I think I sent a screenshot out to the group when Mike Evans scored that first touchdown. My phone fucking exploded, and I kind of forgot how many leagues I actually had Mike Evans in. It was just like
that's what broke your phone this week. That's what broke your phone this week, mate. See.
Yeah, I think it did. It was just Mike Evans scoring a touchdown. And then I kind of had Baker in a couple of leagues too, and he kind of fell in there. It was about 10 notifications on one touchdown, but it's always good to see when that happens.
And the last of mine, tight end, I said Noah Gray was going to be the next big thing on the Kansas City Chiefs. I did, of course, give him a TD guarantee. That didn't come off. But I was getting a bit worried early on because Kelsey was getting some receptions and getting some yards. But sure enough, Kelsey got to 7 receptions and 68 yards, and then all of a sudden they just switched to Noah Gray. 58 yards for Noah Gray. So, he's still there. If you can find Noah Gray on a waiver wire and you need a tight end for the rest of the season, you know what? Go jump on him.
You do a lot worse in that shitty position, put it that way.
He got some points. He got just under 10, and, that's pretty good for a tight end these days.
Yep, take it. He's always a red zone threat as well.
Absolutely. All right. How about we go through this week? I reckon Isaac needs to kick us off for sure, Tay. So,
okay, mate, we're going to start this week. I feel like we're all over the place last
we
week.
were definitely over the place. Mate, I had no rhyme or reason to anything last week. I reckon we go tight end first. Let's start at the back end. Isaac, tight ends first. Do you want to give us your tight end for breakouts for this week?
Yeah, so my tight end for breakout this week is he only scored 2 points last week, but I'll go Cade Otton just because of the matchup. The matchup against Vegas, they can't defend a tight end out of a wet paper bag. So I'm going to stick with Cade Otton, and I think this will be the time where they head back to him to show that he's a target for the coming playoffs.
Righto, Cade Otton. Tay, do you want to go tight end next?
Yeah, mine's not going to shock anyone, but obviously I'm going to need to put a fucking bold call on this one. But I'm taking Brock Bowers up against the Buck, 26 against tight end. Like I said, I'm not shocking anyone with this call. Tight end fucking won this year. What an absolute freak of a human being this guy is. I honestly, the only thing I needed to see out of him was how his connection was with AOC and outside of obviously Minshew going down, and he just goes out there and fucking dominates the Chiefs. This guy is just unstoppable. He's doing this as a rookie tight end. I can't even imagine what he's going to look like in the next few years. And obviously we saw this we saw like a great season out of Laporta last year. This is different. Like, this is a man that's just getting open and getting freaking targeted 15 times because of how talented he is. This isn't a guy. The funny thing is, like, Laporta did it in all touchdowns, so the variance was there that there was a chance that he would have, like, negative regression next year, and this is exactly what's happened with him. Whereas Bowers is actually getting no touchdowns. Like, Bowers is doing it all in volume, and volume is a stat that's, like, earned, whereas, like, touchdowns can be variable. So I just think Bowers has the chance even next year to be even better, which is absurd. So for this week specific against the Bucks, who can't defend tight end, obviously 26 against the position, I'm going to say he is the tight end one of the week, but I'm going to say he has 12 plus targets and 100 yards.
Wow. Yeah, we discussed this last night as well on the pod about Brock Bowers.
I said targets, so I meant catches. Yeah, 12 receptions and 100 yards.
Yeah, we were discussing him last night, Tay, when we were doing, Wednesday on GDAY GRIDIRON for the reaction pod. Just the fact that he's just been sensational, and that the Raiders did exactly what they should have done in that draft, and just picked the best player available right there, right then, and it's worked out just amazingly for them.
I have a dynasty league that I've been in for about 6 leagues, and like, don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of guys in like America. There's some of the guys I don't know, so it's not like a league I care about heaps. But the only reason I do care about it a bit is because it's the first ever dynasty I've joined, and I got given this team that was just ready to explode. It like was good, but it was just full of old cunts and full of and Todd Gurley was like my main running back, and his knee fucking exploded like as soon as I basically got ended it. So I had to take my team eventually, and basically I've been tanking the last like 2 to 3 years, and I came in this year expecting to do the same. But what happened was I had like the 6th draft pick or something, and I already had 2 tight ends in my team. So, and I had absolutely no running backs. Like I was fucked at running backs. So I'm sitting there looking at Bowers or Jonathan Brooks. And I went, you know what? I am taking the best player available. I don't care that I've got 2 tight ends. I'm taking Brock Bowers, and I might just try and deal one of the other 2. And even if I can't do that, who cares? Like I'm a team that's probably a little while away from like contending anyway. I'd rather just get the best guy and just work it out later. Anyway, I think I dealt Jake Ferguson or something before the season started. I put Bowers in. Now my team's like 8-4, and I've got this team that I thought was going to be tanking. Then I actually made a trade for Kamara a couple of weeks ago because I'm like, all right, I need to win now. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm not taking my first next year. I'm going to pick Kamara because I need a running back. It's just funny how things change, and like that was me saying, let's pick the first best player available, even though I've already got 2 tight ends. And honestly, that's what the Raiders did. They just went, we love this guy, even though we've got fucking Michael John Mayer, fucking bodies of wonderland over there. They decided to fucking go Bowers.
Bodies of wonderland. I totally forget about that all the time. All right, my tight end. I'm going a few random guys. I've tried to go some randoms this week for breakouts. Just find some guys that aren't like top of the trees and things that people might not think about a little bit. Tight end, Juwan Johnson from the Saints. Taysom Hill went down this week. He's gone for the season. He's done an ACL plus more, is what they said. He has destroyed a knee. We may not see Taysom Hill ever again in the league if he's that badly injured. But Juwan Johnson had already been quietly sort of getting about 40 yards around that mark every week anyway. So he was already getting used in the game as it was. He ended up with 5 receptions for 36 yards last week in that loss to Isaac's Rams. So I reckon there'll be a bit more going on at tight end and a bit more usage because no Taysom Hill for Juwan Johnson. So he's going to be my guy for breakouts for this week. And I reckon, you know what? I reckon he'll go. He's been around that sort of 7 to 8 point mark. I reckon he's going to double that. So 15 plus PPR points.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I obviously sort of didn't look at him for this segment, but there's definitely sort of like a deeper shot I don't mind because like they just have no one. The reason why Taysom Hill is so
who are they going to use? Foster Moreau?
It's basically just fucking MBS for just deep shots and absolutely nothing else. So, or Kamara just getting dump offs in the backfield. They honestly have no one else. So I've got no issue with that shot. I mean, my only issue is the matchup. For whatever reason, the Giants are weird against tight end. Like we saw it K-Dot a couple of weeks ago. And because you can run on them so easily, it's just another one of those ones that I'm worried they don't have to pass enough to facilitate him. But again, who knows? Like, he could just be the only guy that actually catches passes in this team.
Yeah, I'm sort of banking on that underneath stuff, the more classic tight end stuff, because rather than but he is a fast dude too, so he may, you never know. For tight end wise, he's quick, so he could end up downfield. Isaac, let's go back around to you with running back. How about we start running back?
So quickly. Well, you just mentioned
what do you mean so quickly?
It caught me off guard.
It's not what my wife says.
Yeah, we'll talk about the bedroom,
Yeah, we just talked about him. Alvin Kamara against the Giants. Anyone can run on them, so he'll be a top 3 running back this week.
Well, that's part of my Guillotine League team, so I really hope you're right, Isaac.
Yeah.
Your Guillotine League team is deep. That's all I can say, Tay. It is deep.
Yeah, start-sit decisions are fucking quite tough. It's all fun and games thinking you've got all these awesome waiver wire pickups and you've set your team up well, so you've actually got to get to the grand final and actually fucking pick who's going to play.
Yeah.
I'm sitting fucking Amon-Ra St. Brown,
Ooh.
Chase Brown. There's a bunch of others as well. It's insane. Tyreek Hill. Yeah.
Should just do something funny, and because it's just you and Connor in there anyway, just trade with Connor.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty funny. I think it's probably locked, because I think it was just a generic league, so probably can't. But yeah, that would be pretty funny.
Tate, running back.
I'm going to go with someone I think Isaac will like. I'm going to go with Kyron Williams. Obviously, Kev doesn't like this because he's a fucking blatant Kyron fan. But I just think Kyron Williams against the Bills, and honestly, I think the Bills have to be beaten here. Like, they seem to be getting better and better on defense. Obviously, Milano coming back, and I just think they've already proven that they're really tough to beat in the air. And I think this is a game where you're going to need to see Kyron sort of step up from the get-go. And you even saw last week, obviously, before CMC went down, he was just running amok on this Bills fucking rush defense. So I know it was in the snow, and you can't take a lot from just that. But like I said, they're 25th against running backs and 4th against wide receivers. So I think they need to be beaten on the ground. So I think this is the kind of game where I think they're going to try and assert themselves with the running game. And I think they can do it against the Bills, and that's the only way I can see the Rams winning, because I just think if they get behind and they know that the Rams are going to have to pass with Stafford, I think they're just going to lock in on those two main threats, and they're not going to be able to come back. So I'm thinking a healthy dose of Kyron in this one. I'm going to say I'm going to give him a touchdown guarantee with 100 yards on the ground.
Beautiful, and I hope you are right too that we get the win over the Bills, because we need it.
You know what? I'm going to change it. I'm going to say it's not 100 on the ground. I'm going to say it's 120 combined with the ground and the air. Because
better call. I
don't want to see the Bills go up 14-0 and then Kyron fucking have 90 yards in the air, and then be like, oh fuck, what a shit pick.
Yeah, well, that would happen to you as well.
Oh, no, the way that we've gone, obviously, based on last week, that would probably happen. But yeah, I don't know. I'll just sort of cover myself with that side of it. I still feel like a lot of it's going to come on the ground, but I might just sort of take him as an all-purpose, just in case if they're behind in the second half or something. There's still a chance he can get some dump-offs.
So many good drops you just gave me right then.
Great.
I am going to go for running back. As I said, some guys no one's really been thinking of that much. Chase Brown from the Bengals.
Yeah.
They're up against
another guillotine player.
They're up against the Cowboys this week, and as we know, the Cowboys are just a terrible team all around that have suddenly lucked into being 5-7. But the Bengals on offense have been sensational, and even though it's all sort of passing related, Chase Brown has still been getting a lot of rushing yards, like 80, 70, 80s. There was 120 against the Raiders one week, and I actually think he will be up around that again. I'm going probably 90 plus for Chase Brown on the ground against the Cowboys this week.
I can chuck a touchdown guarantee on that.
No, because he hasn't been getting TDs that much. Just they're very sporadic. I thought about 90 and a TD guarantee, but I was like, nah, I can't. I can't get that wrong again. I can't be 2 yards off something again, Tay.
It's a shit feeling, isn't it?
Oh, I can't believe it. I didn't even give the TD guarantee, and I still lose. Bloody Mike Evans.
And there's no real handcuff for him in Cincinnati either. Zach Moss is on the IR, so
yeah.
Maybe Khalil if they use Khalil.
Yeah, but Khalil's got fucking dicks for his fucking hands. He fumbled on the first play, and I was just like, see you, mate.
At least he's got hands, right?
Yeah, he's better than Tanks.
Tanks have legs, that's for sure.
That's a good question, though, for the mailbag. Is having dicks as hands better than no hands? It's a great question. Maybe on the next episode. Stay tuned.
At Tank Squared us is having dick for hands better than having no hands.
Let's put a poll up.
Absolutely. Isaac, let's go to QB.
QB. All right. So I've got Tua as my breakout this week. In his last 3 games, he's scored over 20 points. And I think the Dolphins, despite the loss to the Packers, have been playing all right. The game's in Florida as well, so that helps the Dolphins. And I reckon Tua will have over 35 fantasy points and end the Jets season. Jets. Jets.
Well, you'd have to go back in time to end the Jets season because they're fucking shit out.
Well, if they lose it, we started a segment on our reaction show on GDAY GRIDIRON this week with eliminated teams and talking about eliminated teams, and the Jets haven't come up yet this week. But Isaac and I did talk about the fact that if they lose this week, they're definitely going to be eliminated, and it's going to be fun to play that drop.
Yes, it
that's
is
for sure.
And hopefully it's Tyrod time, and we can just fuck Aaron Rodgers off.
Tyrod, good old 35-year-old Talor Taylor.
Yep,
yeah.
That's my boy.
Tay, QB.
Mate, I think Joe Burrow may have 1,000 points in this game against the Cowboys. So sorry to bring up the Guillotine League 700 times.
Yeah, I know that's interesting. This is welcome to Tay's Guillotine League podcast.
Are you still in it, Tay?
For anyone out there.
It's because he's got a head; he can still talk, Isaac. That's where our problem is.
Exactly.
Doesn't have dick for hands.
I know you guys have no head, so I have no idea how you're even speaking right now. But I am in the final of Guillotine for anyone out there. Just,
if you hadn't picked that up yet, it Tay's in the final.
Yeah. Anyone out there didn't realise.
Fuck, I hope Connor beats you.
Once the waivers ran, I saw Burrow sitting there, and even though I have Josh Allen, and honestly, I probably will still play Josh Allen because I just feel like he's the most like you don't even have to worry about him against basically anyone. I saw Joe Burrow sitting there, and even though I knew I wouldn't play him, I just took him to play defense just so my opponent wouldn't get him because I would be scared shitless about playing against Joe Burrow this week. I honestly think he could go for anything, and the fact that the Bengals are they officially eliminated?
No,
not yet.
Well, but they are so damn close that I kind of feel like this is just this kitchen sink game where they're just going to throw everything at it, and because they're basically eliminated but not quite, I just don't think there's any reason for them to just stop scoring. Like, I just think they're just going to look at this and go, there might not be a tomorrow, so let's just. And I feel like everyone does this to Dallas, where they don't give a fuck. Like, they're up by like 30 and they just keep scoring on them. It's like they're just trying to stick it to fucking Jerry World. Like, I don't know. There's just something about the Cowboys. They seem to just leak ridiculous amount of points, especially at home. And I just think Burrows is not going to stop. Like, honestly, I think this could be one of the biggest fantasy scores of the year, honestly. So I'm going to say he is QB1 on the week, and I'm going to give him 32 plus fantasy points.
Wow.
Yeah.
30 wasn't enough.
32. It's got to be 32 specifically. I don't know whether you've seen much in the way of sort of post-game interviews and stuff. I think it was Chase Brown. Yeah, it would have been. No, not Chase Brown. Sorry, I think it was Jamar Chase.
Okay.
They interviewed him, and one of the reporters asked him, "Do you feel like you have to score on every possession now?" And he says, "It seems that way. That seems to be what we have to do now, is score every time we get the ball on offense." Because that's the way the whole offense is feeling, that their defense is so horrendously bad that every time they get the ball, they have to score a touchdown every time. So I think you're right, Tay. He's going to be just basically light up the Cowboys.
Slinging it.
Yes.
Yeah, their defense is a licked arsehole. So bad.
Yeah.
Could be some amazing, pretty good betting lines in there for later on in the week too. There,
yeah, beautiful.
All right, my guy at QB. Last week he went 20 of 32, 235 yards, and threw for 2 TDs, no interceptions, no sacks, which was amazing from a guy that we were all told was completely trash. But that's, of course, only if you listen to Patriots fans. So my guy is Mac Jones against Taylor's Titans this week.
Don't label them that, please.
The boy wonder Trevor Lawrence is, of course, out after he'll be in the concussion protocol after a ridiculous hit. So Mac Jones is going to be in. Mac Jones went pretty damn well in 32 with his 32 attempts there last week. Played pretty damn well, and just it was so much more different to what we saw from Mac Jones previously in a different colour uniform, where we were just told he was a garbage QB and terrible. I reckon I'm going to go bold with Mac Jones. 250 plus passing yards and 2 TDs.
Ooh, get at it.
Take that, Titans.
Get that up, your Titan.
Yeah. And I'd just like to call out Matty C here too, because he's ditched it on a Titans versus Jaguars.
I know. He did this. He's running scared. He's just he's just afraid to face Taylor on Titans Jags week.
So weak.
Come on,
it's all right because there's one more left, isn't there, Tay?
He is weak, literally and figuratively, mate. What is wrong with him?
Flaccid.
Flaccid baby arms.
Flacco's not flaccid anymore. It's Matty C.
Oh, God. All right, I can't be a part of this any longer. This is getting silly. Isaac, wide receiver.
My breakout wide receiver is Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Ooh, love me some guys then.
Against the Cards 2 weeks ago when they played each other, he got 19.7 fantasy points, and I reckon this time he'll score over 20.
Over 20 fantasy points, is that what you said?
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
Nice and simple, mate. Nice.
Yeah. Simple. The Cards are 18th against the pass, so there's a lot of opportunity there. It probably depends on Gino if he's having a good day or a bad day, really.
Is anyone else really surprised by how good the Cardinals' defense has been, though?
Yep.
I just don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. Like, they have possibly the worst defense on paper, but they've actually just put it together. And honestly, you've got to give Gannon some credit. I thought this defense would just get destroyed all year, and don't get me wrong, like Isaac just said, they're 18th. This isn't saying they're the best defense in the league or anything, but given their personnel, they honestly should be given a round of applause. I thought this would honestly be like a Bengals situation where, and this is half the reason I was so high on Kyler and Trey McBride. And obviously, Trey McBride's still been great, but I really thought this team would just be in shootouts all year, and they've found a way to actually keep teams down, around the 20-point mark. So it's actually a kudos to them. That was a huge surprise to me.
Yeah, and he's a defensive guy, isn't he? He come over from the Eagles as a defensive guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Tay, hit us with a wide receiver to round out yours.
Yeah, so I've got a little bit lower here, but I brought this guy up as a buy low a few weeks ago with me and Matty C and the fantasy podcast before the trade deadline, and I kind of got laughed off the pod. It was actually with Brad on there, and when I brought this guy up, he was just going fucking awful at the time, and it was basically a double down from my pre-season take, but I've taken Calvin Ridley, and honestly, I think this is a revenge game against the fucking Jags, and it just gives me the feeling that, I don't know, I got like Mac Jones on the other side. I feel like there is actually going to be some points in this one. I know Ridley absolutely tore the Titans a new fucking asshole right at the end of the year last year, and I've got a feeling he's going to turn around and do that to the Jags in this game. They're 29th against wide receiver. They're basically shitouts against everything, but I think this is going to be the kind of game that Will Levis just airs it out, just doesn't give a shit. I know he doesn't give a shit anyway, but this is the kind of game where I think they're going to get it done in the air. And yeah, I think Ridley's just going to be a huge part of that. He's getting a huge amount of targets. He's got a very good run home of matchups. And so this is one I think if you're a fantasy player, and you've got Ridley and you're not sure whether to play him, I can get him out there this week. I think he could have a massive game. I'm going to say, I'm going to give him 100. This is the kind of game I think he's going to have 100 yards in. So
boy.
I think for him that's probably bold enough because I'm not taking a top 5 guy or anything like that. So I'll probably just go up to 100 yards for him here.
Yep, for sure. My wide receiver, Tate, I'm rolling it back. We're going to keep that count going for Taylor. I was trying to decide between a couple of guys that I liked to sort of highlight for breakouts, but you know what? We're rolling it back. Mike Evans, 120 plus, and a TD guarantee. Let's go. We're going to keep that counter going. Come on. We're gonna just ride that pony home. Just get on the back of Mike Evans and start whipping him like a little 4-foot jockey. So let's go. Come on, Mike. Get that 1,000-yard season. We all know you can do it.
I can't wait for like week 18, and he just gets like a 5-yard dump off, and no one gives a shit except you and I. Just going nuts.
You can tell that week 18 will be one of those ones where they'll be the guys will be sitting on the sideline calculating where he's at and going, and like it'll be like Baker going, "We need to get you another one. We need to get you one more."
Yeah, they're good at that too. That like there's always obviously for him keeping that streak alive, but even for like bonuses and like incentives and people's contracts,
they all know it.
They love that shit, and they always going for it. It was like Evan Engram like tried to like get some tight end record last year, and they fed him like 18 targets or something late last year. I think he just missed whatever he was going for, but they tried their asses off.
We know who was real good at that. At who also played at the Bucks for 2 years was Tom Brady.
Gronk.
He was
You'd always see footage of him like coming up to people and saying, "What do you need?"
Yeah, or he knew where guys were at too. Like even guys with if guys that just didn't care.
I think it was Gronk, was it? Him and Gronk were always chatting. He'd be like, "Tom, I need this." He'd be like, "Yeah, I got you."
It was $1 million catch or something, wasn't it?
Something
one more reception for $1 million.
Yep.
Yeah. So, so he was real good at that as well. There is actually just having a quick look. $3 million for 70 catches, 1,000 yards, and 10 TDs for Mike Evans is one of his escalators.
Yeah, wow. How many touchdowns? Yeah, he wouldn't have heaps, would he, this year because of the injury?
How many touchdowns?
Don't think he has. Hang on, I'm just going and having a quick check. He is currently on 7
6.
touchdowns.
Oh, that's pretty good. Fuck, you can get that.
7. So he needs 7 touchdowns. He's officially got. So his escalator for 3 million is 70 catches. He's only on 39 receptions. So he can still get that. He needs another 30 receptions, just under 500 yards, so about 480 yards, and 3 TDs to get that $3 million escalator. So the deal with the devil is alive.
Let's go, Mike.
Let's go.
Bring it home.
Bring it home, big boy. Let's go.
Get him, Baker. Get him.
Get him. Sick him. Anyway, stop that.
Back on track.
Enough of that. They are up against the Raiders too, and the Raiders have been just a wet bucket of arseholes the last few weeks. Last week they played really good and should have beat the Chiefs. Well, really good for the Raiders and should have beat the Chiefs because the Chiefs love to play down to everybody. But of course they were just terrible at the end. Righto, let's get on with T-Talk time. Taylor, it is time for Talor Talk.
Talor. Talor Talk time. That's right. Hot diggity dog.
Oh, it's everyone's favourite moment of the fucking week, isn't it? It is. I think we all know it.
No.
I look forward to it. Apparently Isaac doesn't.
No.
Because he's going to take out half of my starts.
Yeah, this is the point. Right. This is the point where we find out who Taylor takes out of starts of the week on a week where we've got 6 teams on bye. So,
and we're doing something special with the starts, which makes it even harder. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah. No foreskinning here.
And this is a live reaction of all our reactions of getting screwed by Taylor. So thank you.
And Kev loves it too. Kev does a fucking side team, and he hates seeing it. And believe me, he's gonna fucking hate my first team. I love it.
Garner Minshew.
You're not far off. Look, I'll quickly just touch base on last week. I don't have the exact points for these guys. I had a fair idea, but I took Drake May up against Indy. No, it wasn't too bad given the circumstances. Obviously, 16% started, so it wasn't too bad of a game. It was another one of these ones where he just looked better in real life than it probably came out in fantasy. I just think the Patriots definitely had their man. And look, I took a shot against that Indy defense. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't fantastic. I'll call that about even, to be honest. This one I fucking nailed. I've just put that out there. Bucky Irving against the Panthers last against running back. It was one of these ones where I took him. He was 49% at the time. I wasn't sure if he was going to go up or down. I kind of, in a way, wanted to rule him out of starts because I felt like he was kind of too obvious for that segment. But given last week, people coming off bye and stuff like that, there's a chance he may have stayed at that. I'm not entirely sure, but he just went out and absolutely dominated. This is the kind of game where they didn't need their pass catchers outside of Mike Evans a lot. because Bucky Irvin's is fucking running wild. I took him in starts the week earlier and he dominated too against the Giants. Two awesome matchups. He gets another very good one against the Raiders this week, by the way. So anyone that jumped on that train is just absolutely dominating, and he looks like he's just a kind of a league-winning kind of guy, honestly, moving forward. So Bucky Irving absolutely dominated, so I'm going to put that in the tick column. Took Jordan Addison against the Cardinals. I was just trying to hope he just sort of hit a good run of form, and this wasn't horrendous. I think he scored 9.5 full PPR points. So
he did.
Again, it wasn't one that killed your team, but yeah, he just didn't get truly involved, and it was just Jefferson sort of getting back on track, and that Arizona defense has sort of been better than I would have expected at the start of the year. So it wasn't a complete shootout. So yeah, look, it was fine, but nothing amazing. Hunter Henry, I'd probably put in the tick column just for this segment. Obviously, 34% started, 27th against tight end. The Colts were 10.5 fantasy points for 4 PPR. I'll definitely, anything over 10, I think I'm definitely going to see as a success in this segment, especially considering I'm taking guys under 50% starter or around that at least. So I thought that was actually a pretty good week. Anyway, we get into this week. So I foreskinned about Kev not liking this one because I really do feel like this is probably a guy that he would have wanted to take in this segment. He's brought him up a lot of times, but I'm going to take Aiden O'Connell up against the Bucks. Right now, he's at a solid 2% started. So, I like to take my deeper shots in this segment. But the Bucks are second last against quarterback. I really think this is an awesome situation for him. I picked him up in a Superflex league a couple of weeks ago, obviously when he first looked like he was going to get the job. And I looked at his matchups, and it's just green. Like, it's really, really good matchups for him moving forward. So he's not a bad stat in leagues like that, by the way. But just looking at this game, I just think it's a great matchup for him. I think the Bucks are going to be able to move the ball easily on the Raiders. So I feel like there's obviously an opportunity for O'Connell to need to keep up. I thought he had a great game against a very tough Chiefs defense last week, and he more than held his own. If anything, he probably looked better than Patrick Mahomes, which weirdly seems to happen a lot in the regular season. So, yeah, I thought like he looks great, and he's got fucking Brock Bowers, the king, over there, just like buddy sucking in receptions like porn stars sucking you-know-what. So, I just think he's set up for success. So, O'Connell is my quarterback for Talor Talk this week.
You can be assured that they would have worked on that snap this week too.
Oh, mate. Yeah, look, he's not playing the Chiefs, so there isn't fucking voodoo dark magic, taking the ball away from his hands. All right, running back, I know I'm taking this guy off your list. I know for a fact, and I'll be honest, I kind of want to take him off everyone's list because I just feel like he's probably going to get talked about percentage-wise, but I feel like everyone who owns Christian McCaffrey is probably going to take this guy. Anyone who got him off waivers is probably going to. So I'm taking Isaac Guerrero up against the Bears, who are 20th against running back. He's at 5% right now, but honestly, I feel like that's going to end up well over 50. I've just sort of taken him because I'm not sure, and he's the kind of guy that in the past we've looked at it and say starts for a week, and we feel like that guy's, even though he's so low right now, he's probably going to end up being played by a lot of people after waivers run. So I'm going to take him in this segment just to sort of rule out that question. But I just think he's actually set up for a huge success in this game. The Bears really don't defend the running back position well at all. You've seen Guerrero, when he's been given the opportunity, get the trust and do really well with it. He's got basically no one else in the backfield with him except for Patrick Taylor. And he's basically he got booted off the team a few weeks ago and then just sort of joined the practice squad. So he's not exactly trusted himself. So Guerrero's going to get everything in this game. The Niners have to win it, otherwise they're toast. They might be toast already, but they'll be officially toast if they lose this one. I just think Guerrero's up for success, and the Bears are a lot better against the wide receiver position than they are the running back. So I feel like there's a massive opportunity for him to get at least a touchdown in this game, but have good yards per carry as well. So
yeah, he was when I looked earlier today, he was at 1%, so that's already come up to 5. He may not get over that 50, but I love your strategy there. I love the idea that we should rule that guy out. He also against Dallas, his high was against Dallas, so it was around 19 points. And I feel like you're right. That's the kind of game he could have.
I felt like, the running back position for starts of the week is so shit already. Why not make it even worse?
Yeah, absolutely.
So That's the best way to do it. But anyway, it's not so much about that. I just think I thought that I wasn't sure if he would fit in a segment like that, but I felt like for my segment here, he kind of makes a bit more sense. So I just thought I'd throw him out there as someone I think's going to have a very good game. Now, talk about riding a fucking train. And this guy, like, I definitely sort of thought I would put him on my start of the week list, but it is just like the most fucking dart throw of dart throws you could ever do. And this guy just keeps scoring touchdown after touchdown after touchdown, and no one trusts him. Everyone thinks it's just gonna fall on its face, and he just keeps doing it to a point where he actually had 2 touchdowns last week. I'm gonna take Nick Westbrook Akine.
Ah, you piece
I
of
think
shit.
it's the Jags who are 29
Fuck.
wide receiver, and I am guaranteeing you this, which makes no sense because he's part of a segment where I'm trying to talk the guy up. This will be the classic. Everyone will start him after they have it, and he will suck. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to look that right in the face and take him because I'm so sick of no one starting him. I actually picked him up a couple of dynasty leagues, and I'm in the buy apocalypse, so I'm going to probably start him. I just think it's hilarious that just no one's trusted this guy after one of the biggest touchdown runs you'll ever see. It's kind of hard to ignore him, and he's actually getting a higher target share in the last few weeks, and that's the difference. When he was getting like 1 catch and it being a touchdown, obviously it's hard to trust him, but he's starting to get more involved. Obviously, when Hopkins went to the Chiefs, he's all of a sudden playing basically every snap. I think he's like averaging like 96% snaps or something. So he's always out there. I think this is a bit of a shootout style game. I've already brought up Calvin Ridley that I think Will Levis is just going to air it out in this one. So I'm taking him. He's still only 16% started. Yeah. I don't know how much higher that gets, honestly. I still don't think people are trusting him. He'll probably go up in roster percentage, but I still don't know if a lot of people are trusting him. But if you're going to trust him, it's in a matchup like this. But I'm looking now. It is very scary.
I'm looking now, and he's at 35% started.
There you go. He's on.
Where are you looking?
Train.
Sleeper.
Oh, I'm looking too. He's only got him at 16.
Okay.
Is it 35% rostered?
No.
29% rostered, 16% started is what I'm looking at.
That's what I saw as well.
Okay. I must be on a different one. But
it might be. Are you not Dynasty or Redraft?
Oh yeah, I'm in. I don't know. I'm in one of my leagues, and I just searched him.
Yeah, that's the catch.
So,
that's the catch when we're trying to find these guys for starts. Anyway, tight end.
All right. Tight end, I have gone the deepest of deep shot. He is currently started in a solid 0% league. This is how I like it. If you're going to get a goose at tight end, it may as well be some cunt that no one's starting. So, at tight end, it'll probably go up a tiny bit, but not much. He might be like 2% started by start. I'm going to go my boy and everyone's boy, Grant Calcaterra, up against the Panthers. He is the backup to Dallas Goedert, who's pretty much been ruled out already. So you know Calcaterra. In games that Goedert hasn't played, Calcaterra has actually stepped up and been a very viable part of this offense. He's actually, I know he had 2 games where he had just over 9 points in the tight end position, which is nothing to sneeze at. And the fact is, this Panthers team is last against the tight end position. So I think, obviously, it's another game you're going to have worry that it's just going to be a complete Saquon fest and they're just going to run all over the Panthers, which could happen. But I think there's an opportunity here where we're in the red zone. If they need to pass, I think there's a chance that Calcaterra pops up for a touchdown. So I don't even know how to set a line, because you could set a line at like 3 points and you could say, you've actually nailed this because no one's playing this guy. But I want to kind of at least be like a little bit bold. So I'm going to say that he has... I'm going to go double figures. Fuck it. I'm going to say it's 10 points.
Jesus Christ.
Although I just realised I don't actually have to set a line in Talor Talk.
No, you don't.
I didn't actually have to do that, but I felt like, why not for this guy? Because he's such a deep shot. So I feel like I'll set it at 10, because if I get everything else wrong, we get him right. It feels like it's going to be a huge win for me.
So in the 4 games that got it missed to injury earlier in the season, Calcaterra averaged 3.3 catches for 40 yards.
I'll take that every day of the week.
So, fantasy point wise, he was somewhere basically around the 8-point mark. Yeah, he had a couple of 8-pointers, a 1.5, but then a 10.7 game. So, average wise, around 8 he averaged in those 4 games.
And then this is obviously the matchup you want to against the team that's last against tight end. So that kind of added on top of it. So I thought, you know what, this segment's not for fucking picking out guys that everyone's starting. I'm like, you know what, I love a 0% started player here. I like to say that my percentages are 2%, 5%. Obviously the Guerrero one will go up though. 16% and 0. So I'm definitely taking percentage off.
Yeah, righto. Excellent. Thanks, Tate. Let's just recap that real quickly. So, Talor Talk this week, Aidan O'Connell, Isaac Guerrero, Nick Westbrook-Akine, and Grant Calcaterra, 3 out of 4 blokes whose names you can't pronounce properly.
Great picks.
Great picks. Excellent, mate. I love it.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, like I said, that's the picks for this week, and hopefully I can nail them all out of the park. And, you know, Calcaterra, he's going to be a name to watch out for.
Certainly is. It's going to be a name to watch out for. Well, mate, if he does amazing, it's going to be so good.
He's going to terrorise. What an ending. Just end it there, please.
All right, thank you very much for joining us. We will be back.
Taylor won't be back.
Taylor may be back, whoever knows. We will be back on Sunday for some more insanity and just absolute nonsense on your airwaves. So please catch us then for the starts of the week segment and something to do with some kind of mailbag segment that we haven't really figured out yet. Saturday, you can catch myself, Isaac, Brad, and Nick on the GDAY GRIDIRON show where we preview 4 big games for this week. So make sure you look out for that tomorrow in your feed as well. That feed, of course, can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just about anywhere you can get some podcasts. You'll find that. You can find links to all of our socials for the entirety of the Aussie Gridiron Network at our Linktree /Aussie Gridiron Network, where you will find all the links to socials for this show, GDAY GRIDIRON, Manjot with his Pastry Press NFL, and Aussie Gridiron Today. And you will find a link right now for Christmas time to our merch store where you can pick yourself up, your kids, your wife, your league mates, whoever, pick them up a present for Christmas at our merch store. There are some awesome designs there, some really cool stuff from the fantasy boys, from Matty and Tay over the years. You know, why not get your wife a McCock slap t-shirt? Nothing sweeter. So go check that out. And grab yourself an absolute bargain and something to support the shows and the whole of the Aussie Gridiron Network. But until Sunday, on behalf of myself, Isaac, and Taylor, see you later.
See ya.
I'm in the Calcaterra business.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
It's none other than Taylor Stun Gun Goodall.
It's almost like it was written in the stars that Matty C was going to get mouth AIDS this week.
He should have seen it coming, to be honest.
Aussie?
Who makes up these fucking names?
It's a big fuck you to them. I love it.
Matty was high on it too.
NFL?
I went from a bucket of arseholes at running back to a bucket of arseholes at wide receiver. They just swapped.
So I just thought I'd bring that out there just to give him shit.
I know. Kirk Cousins at the lettuce sandwich.
Literally does everything.
He literally does everything.
Fantasy.
There's 2 guys that I'm been tossing up.
But it at least makes the waiver wire less like a homeless man's arsehole.
We're going to reach deep into the mailbag.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Problem is, it's an absolute pit of arseholes.
Get that up, you big boy. We try and bring entertainment here.
The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show is brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network. Check out our other productions, GDAY GRIDIRON, Pastry Press NFL, and Aussie Gridiron Today. You can find everything at Linktree /Aussie Gridiron Network.